Boy, after the last two chapters, Isaiah 35 today is a welcome relief. This is still talking about the last days, still talking about our day and age and our here near future, basically, as well. But we're going to get the more better perspective of what's going to happen. So this is a good point. This is a good one today. Instead of so much focus on the destruction and challenges, this is a good point. Verse 1. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. This is important. So this is a contrast. Again, the last days, which is the days we're in, is a day of polarity. Wicked getting more wicked, righteous getting more righteous. The destruction getting worse, the praise and the glory and opportunities and happiness here getting better. This polarity is a big deal in the last days. And that's what they're talking about here. This is, yes, there's going to be a lot of destruction, but you know what? The earth is going to be happy that it's being taken care of. There's now an opportunity for repentance. There's now an opportunity to change and to improve. Several general authorities have talked about this, in fact, this idea of blossoming as a rose. Let's see. They've seen the settlements of the mountain valleys of the Rockies by the Latter-day Saints as a fulfillment of these verses in Isaiah. See Milton R. Hunter in General Conference Report, 1965, LeGrand Richards, 1966. Smith, Doctrines of Salvation, Volume 3, page 346. Orson Pratt, Journal of Discourses, Volume 18, page 145. When the saints arrived in the Salt Lake Valley in July 1847, it could be described as a wilderness and a solitary place. It's definitely what the Salt Lake Valley was. There wasn't many trees here. It was desolate. In fact, if you remember the stories of the saints, when they were over near Fort Bridger area, they ran into the famous trapper Jim Bridger, and they were asking him about what is it like? What do we have ahead of us? And he went, I wouldn't pay $1. You couldn't pay me, basically, to live in the Salt Lake Valley. That place is desolate. That's terrible. It's a terrible place to go. Don't go there. And he tried to convince Brigham Young and the saints to not go there. And God knows better than a trapper, for sure. But then he says, the saints went to work immediately, and soon the desert valleys of Utah began to blossom as the rose. But this prophecy may also be fulfilled by the settlement of modern Jews in the Holy Land, where similar things are taking place. So this, again, scriptures don't have to be fulfilled only one way. So we see in the moving of the saints in the 1800s as a way of this being fulfilled as the saints came to Utah and turned it into a really nice place to live. It's a beautiful place to live. We love it here. But again, this can be the desert in Middle East, blossoming as a rose, a prosperous place, a beautiful place to go, place with vegetation, place with good climates and things. Things are getting better. After quoting Isaiah 53, 3 through 4, Elder Orson Pratt reasoned, that has never been fulfilled, but preparatory to the time when God will come with vengeance to sweep away wickedness from the face of the earth, the house of Israel will be gathered back to their own lands, and the people of God will be permitted to dwell in the wilderness. And that wilderness will become a fruitful field. It is even said that the desert should rejoice because of those who are gathered, and should blossom as the rose. Now that is something that has been fulfilled during the last quarter of a century here in this wilderness, barren desert country. The great latter-day work has commenced. The kingdom of God has been reorganized on the earth. In other words, the Christian church in all its purity, with all its ordinances, has been reorganized upon the face of the earth. And the time has at length come when the Spirit of God has been poured out from on high. Until that period arrived, there was no hope for Israel. No hope for the land of Palestine, no hope for the redemption of the tribes scattered in the four quarters of the earth. But when the wilderness should become as a fruitful field, when the Spirit should again be poured out from on high, through the everlasting gospel of the Son of God, then the people should be gathered together by the commandment of the Lord. Then we may look out for a change upon the face of the land where this gathering takes place. We may look for the deserts to become like the Garden of Eden, to blossom as the rose that blossoms in rich and fertile gardens, to blossom abundantly, and the desert to rejoice with joy and singing. The prophet says that when Jesus comes with vengeance and destroys the wicked, redeems the desert, and causes the wilderness to become a fruitful field, then the lame man shall leap as a hart, the tongue of the dumb shall speak, the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped, for in the wilderness shall the waters break out, and streams in the desert, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. That's his Journal of Discourses, volume 18, page 145 and 146. So we see this from a spiritual standpoint of the wickedness is a spiritual desert, and the teachings of the gospel allow fruits of the Spirit to come about, abundance of spiritual energy and prosperity spiritually as well. But then this again talks about a literal fulfillment in the last days also. So there's several ways we can take this part of Isaiah and translate this. In fact, verse 2 continues on with this. It says, "It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God." Now this, if we take this in context with Isaiah's 33 and 34, we've talked a lot about destruction in the last days. The wicked are going to destroy the wicked. It's going to be chaos and crazy, lots of natural disasters and problems. But Zion will be a safe place, a happy place, a prosperous place, place where God will bless his people and help them out. This can also be this idea of blossoming as a rose in the desert. Zion established itself among the destruction and will continue to thrive and do well despite the craziness around. So very important for us to think about that as well in the last days. Where do you want to be in the last days? Zion. This is staying in the good ship Zion, as President Ballard talks about. This is standing in holy places, thinking celestial, all those things. Staying here, preparing us to be here, is what the apostles are doing. This is what they're doing. They're gathering people to be ready to be here. Why is there so many temples being built everywhere? So that there are places of holiness that people can stand in when destruction comes all over the world. Not just one place to gather, hundreds of places that they can gather easily to find that peace and happiness, that joy of living the gospel that will help them through the destruction that's coming. That is what we are preparing for. This is so important for us to understand in our day and age because it's happening. We are moving. All the wheels are in motion going in that direction. Be ready. All right, verse 3, "Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, Be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even with a recompense. He will come and save you." So don't be afraid. Be happy. He is coming. He is going to help. Then in verse 5, "The eyes of the blind shall be opened, the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing, for in the wilderness shall waters break out, streams in the desert. The parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water, and the habitation of dragons, where each lay shall be grass with reeds and rushes," or again, the resorts of jackals, the scrounging animals. So this is going to be a grand, wonderful place to be. This is where God blesses his people. He helps them out. This is so important for us to be there. Healings. People will be healed. People will have less problems and challenges. I mean, imagine it. You go to Zion, you suddenly get healed. By being in Zion, you no longer have sickness or injuries or health problems. What a great place to live. I mean, how amazing is this going to be? This is the blessings and abundance that God gives us. Not to mention helping people to eliminate the cloud of sin and wickedness that blind them. The scriptures tell us all the time that a lot of people will be blinded by the craftiness of men, and this Zion, establishing Zion, is going to eliminate that, help us to get away from those things, to have a better place to be. God is going to take care of us. We don't have to have a hospital. It's going to be a place of healing through the Spirit, through the priesthood that will be there. That is important. Hospitals are important. Understanding that stuff is still great. But man, when you can have priesthood brethren who have the faith to heal, my kid fell and broke his leg. We don't need to take him to the hospital. We have the elders to heal his leg. This is Zion. This is what is coming. This is what happened in Enoch's day with their Zion. And it'll happen again in these last days. That's coming up very soon. This is our near future. So be ready for this. We had this contrast again, like we talked about in chapter 33, only to help us understand, hey, look, you're going to be either outside in the world or in with Zion. The choice is yours. This is the Zion versus Babylon idea. This is the contrast. Good versus evil, all those things. This is the contrast. Where are you going to be? Your thoughts, your actions between now and when more things happen are going to determine whether you're going to be out in the world or whether you're going to be with Zion. And you get to choose where you want to be. Make the choice consciously. Work on that consciously. It's very important. Now verse 8 is continuing on talking about this goodness. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. This is important. Those who have been taken care of with the atonement of Jesus Christ will be invited, will be encouraged to come to Zion. Be a part of Zion. There will be an easy way for you to come. Nobody else is going to want to come. The wicked do not want to come. They're going to be afraid of Zion. Not because Zion is something to be afraid of, but they are afraid of themselves with Zion because Zion is so foreign to them. They want wickedness. They don't want what Zion has. But those who are ready, those who have been redeemed, those who are prepared will have an opportunity to enjoy this. Verse 10, and the ransomed of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. Again, these are the people who have turned their sins to Christ, who have repented, who have been baptized, who have had their sins washed away, who are striving to keep the commandments. That is who is going to be happy in these last days. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Now, one final quote here. This is from the Old Testament Study Manual. They say that Isaiah 35, 8 through 10 is closely related to Doctrine and Covenants 133, 26 through 34, and is generally acknowledged to refer to the return of the 10 tribes. But these references may also include all the tribes. Only the redeemed of the Lord, that is, the righteous, shall tread the highway or way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it. Since Ephraim is the source of the 10 tribes' blessings, that's D&C 133:32, the gathering of Israel, it stands to reason that Ephraim must be gathered first. The 10 tribes may then come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. Judah shall be gathered as part of this same picture. The prophet Joseph Smith wrote, our western tribes of Indians are descendants from that Joseph who was sold into Egypt, and the land of America is a promised land unto them. And unto it all the tribes of Israel will come, with as many of the Gentiles as shall comply with the requisitions of the new covenant. But the tribe of Judah will return to old Jerusalem, the city of Zion spoken of by David in the 102nd Psalm, will be built upon the land of America. And so the city of Zion, again, we talked about this in chapter 34 the other day. Zion is New Jerusalem. Jerusalem is Old Jerusalem. So a lot of times when there's Latter-day prophecy, they'll use both terms. Zion is New Jerusalem. Jerusalem is Old Jerusalem. Okay, very important to look at. And it says here, the ransomed of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. And then they will be delivered from the overflowing scourge that shall pass through the land. But Judah shall obtain deliverance at Jerusalem. See Joel 2:32, Isaiah 26:20, Jeremiah 31, Psalms 1:5, Ezekiel 34. These are testimonies that the good shepherd will put forth his own sheep and lead them out from all nations where they have been scattered in a cloudy and dark day, to Zion and to Jerusalem, besides many more testimonies which might be brought. So realize, as we look at this, as the destruction worsens and gets bad around us, Zion will be established as a way to be free and be relatively unscathed from that, from those destructions. But the people who go to Zion are only those who are going to want to go to Zion. They're not going to be there because they have to be there or they're forced to be there. They're there because they want to be there. Otherwise, they'll be out with the rest of the world. This will be established. Zion will be established. Jerusalem will be established. They will be the spiritual places to go. They will be part of this, standing in holy places as the destruction happens. They will gather here. Then there's going to be a much worsening of what's going to happen that wipes the rest of the wicked out. And then the second coming can actually go forward and happen truthfully in the millennium and everything else. So, heck of a time. Heck of a time that is in our future. How far out? I have no idea. I don't know. There's a lot that's going to happen, but you could see it all happening quickly, and it could take another century or two to happen. We don't know the timing, again, and that's not the point. The point is to have the faith to be ready all the time. That's the point. So thank you for watching. Let's jump over to the next chapter as we continue with Isaiah.